This is how I manifest fast and easily. And I'm going to talk about how I manifested fast and easily before my perspective shift and after as well, because before I really did still manifest in 3 days, 5 days, 2 days, 1 week, 2 weeks. So I guess that is still considered fast, but now I'm able to, if I choose to, one day, an hour, few minutes, all that kind of stuff. So in the past, I would manifest by repeating, and not contradicting it. And things took me, like I said, 2 days, 3 days, 5 days, 1 week, 2 weeks to happen. And to me, that's still pretty fast compared to law of attraction days, where it would not happen at all, or it would just happen in a year or 6 months. And I did not have the patience for that, so I don't want that. Now, I will say, for the things that took me a bit longer, for the things that took me maybe a week or 2 weeks, I had claimed resistance. And I think that it is valid, it is totally valid to say that some people have had life experiences that makes it a little bit tougher for them to really think that they can have something, think that something can, happen for them that fast or whatever. And that could be what resistance is for some people. Like, you have so many thoughts against having this one specific thing because of your life experience, and that's totally valid. However, for since this is my video, a personal video, how I do things, I have noticed from doing some reflection that claiming resistance is why I had resistance, because there was really no need for me to claim resistance. I just saw people say that resistance is real, and the reason why you won't have it yet is because you have so many thoughts against it and stuff like that, so you have resistance. And the key to kill resistance is repetition, which is true, but I am telling you right now, you don't need to claim resistance for yourself. Don't do that, because the thing that I found from observing other people and what they have to say is, if you claim resistance, you tell yourself that you have resistance, then that's literally just telling yourself you have resistance. And yeah, you have resistance. Why would you want to claim that? But why would I ever want to claim opposing thoughts for myself? Like, why would I ever want to claim not having what I want, So I just don't recommend claiming resistance for yourself. Just tell yourself that resistance does not apply to you. Don't be like me and don't use resistance as an excuse for yourself. I would repeat, tell myself repeatedly, I have it. And I would not waver, I would not contradict myself. And that is how I got stuff really, really fast. Now, I will say that when I was repeating, it was obviously I was doing saturation sessions, and I would do this literally all the time. Like, I had time, I would do this all the time, and I would not go for a 10-minute, 15-minute saturation session. All of my saturation sessions were 1 hour, 30 minutes minimum, 1 hour, 3 hours, 5 hours, 8 hours, 7 hours. 6 hours. I would literally tell myself for a very long period of time that I have what I want, because it was just fun to me for some reason, and still is, and I still do it, and I love it. It was just fun for me to just think as if I already have it. Like, wow, this is so cool, I already have it, and just think like that for hours. And then it ended up happening, like, maybe day of, 3 days later, 2 days later, when I would saturate for that long. That's how fast it would happen. I do remember for the things that it took maybe like 5 days, the only reason why that specific manifestation took 5 days or took 3 days is because I was kind of, going back and forth with it, and I would still bring myself back though. I would correct myself, and I think that's why it happened so fast, because I would correct myself and then I would never think that way again. I do think when I was in my repeat era, that I was coming from a place of affirming to get it. And really, like I've said in my past video on it, I don't think it matters if you affirm to get or affirm to remind. I think it's just preference. But I was absolutely coming from the mindset of affirm to get, and it still happened for me in 3 days, 5 days, a week, 2 weeks. With my new perspective, here are some things that I wish I would have actually known, or things that could help you surpass having to do like hours of repetition or whatever. It's just understanding manifestation. I am at this point now where I can manifest anything faster than I did before, and I've been at this point for maybe like a year or whatever, like a year and a half or whatever, since I made my manifest instantly video. I don't know. How I got to this point was basically using those 3 steps that I put in my video of understanding the basics of manifestation, and I'll briefly explain them now. But it really, really helped me understand that manifestation does not have to take a long time, and it's not a process. It is not a long drawn out thing to really wait on or anything like that. I just again want to repeat that if you prefer the first way that I did, the first way that I explained when I was in my learning era of repeating and saturating, go ahead and do it. It is still valid. Of course you can do it, whatever, it's up to you. But this is an easier way for me. This is an easier way that could help you surpass all of that repetition and all that kind of stuff, and long hours of saturation and having to repeat, feel like you're trying to get something and all that kind of stuff. It's just understanding 3 basic things, which is number 1, law of assumption is always occurring. It's not something that you have to try to do. It is always occurring. Your world is literally running on your assumptions. It's running on your perspective, your perception, basically whatever you are experiencing right now it had to occur here first. Whatever you tell yourself is going to be true is what's going to be true. Whatever you think is going to happen, whatever you expect that's going to happen, whatever you tell yourself is going to be true without contradicting it is going to be true. And that is basically what an assumption is. And I want to point out that assumptions are not a hard thing to make. Again, it's not like a really, really tough thing to form. It is something that you are always forming. You are consistently making assumptions, whether you want to admit it or not, whether you realize it or not, whether you like it or not. It's an assumption. Like I always say, I used it in my other video as an example, but it's an assumption to say that every time I go to the grocery store, I never get a parking spot, or the mall's always crowded every time I go, or I never get picked. You have to struggle. Everyone struggles. Everyone has to struggle. You have to work really, 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 really hard to make a little bit of money. Life's not fair. You can't always get exactly what you want. I'm always doing the most in relationships. I'm never chosen. I'm always overlooked. I'm never anyone's first pick. I'm never anyone's first choice. Those are all assumptions. And whether you realize it or not, those are assumptions. A lot of those are negative assumptions. And just because it's because we're literally trained to think negatively first. We're literally conditioned to think the negative so we don't get disappointed. But what if you swap that and started thinking the positive? What if you thought that you're always chosen over everyone else? You're always the priority. You're always first pick. You have so many friends. Everyone loves you. You're queen bee. All of those are positive assumptions. Oh, the grocery store is, oh, I always get an up-close parking spot. Those are positive assumptions. It is a spiritual law. It is promised. It is something that cannot be broken or shaken or canceled, and it's not something that you can turn off like a remote control, like a TV. It is always on. You are always making assumptions, and your world is, the job of your world, the job of your reality is to just reflect those assumptions back to you. Again, you are only experiencing your assumptions, so understand that. Number two is understanding who I am as creator. Since it is law of assumption and my assumptions create, going back to the first point, since my assumptions create, they are always creating. I am only experiencing my assumptions, emphasis on the my, that it is that I am the creator of my world. It is me who decides what happens. It is just me. Keyword my assumptions. Keyword your assumptions create. It is your assumptions. You are the operant power. You are the creator, director, pilot, God, whatever you want to call yourself, of your reality. It is your reality. That is the point that really, really helped me understand that, okay, well, I can manifest anything I want because this is my reality, and all I have to do, since this world is just running on my assumptions and everything is just my assumption, all I have to do is just change my assumption. Like, that's literally all I have to do. Change my assumption. It is your world. And what helped me understand that I am the only one in control, that I am the only creator of my reality, is testing it out in practice. I practice this by manifesting things into existence that are like wacky and unique, so I can prove that it's me. So like, for example, lime green cars, seeing a rainbow car, seeing a purple car, pink car, seeing a Scooby-Doo bus, a Scooby-Doo van, seeing a pink zebra, seeing someone do something different with their hair, all those types of things, those really crazy wacky things that only you know it's you. Those are the things that I tested it out on when I was first beginning my journey. And how I tested it out was just telling myself, this is how it is, this is how it is, this is how it is, this is how it is. Basically repetition. Just repeatedly telling myself that I always see lime green cars, I always see lime green cars, I always see lime green cars, I always see rainbow cars, I always see rainbow cars, I always see rainbow cars. Testing it out on silly stuff like that. And once it happened, I was able to see that it really is all me. Like, it really is all me who's doing this. So that gave me more courage to manifest more for myself. It boosted me up. It boosted up my faith in myself and in manifestation and in law of assumption, the fact that, oh, this is actually real and I can actually manifest anything I want. And if you can manifest those silly things, why can't you manifest bigger things like being rich, or having a house, or having an apartment, or having your dream job, your dream career? You can, because just as those silly things are your assumption, those other things are not exempt. They're also your assumption. Everything is your assumption. So just understanding that it is law of assumption, it is your assumption, your emphasis on the your. The last thing that really got me here to this point was telling myself that manifestation is not a process, because I had a little epiphany and I was like, well, if I am in control, it's law of assumption, and only my assumptions create my reality, then why can't I create the assumption that manifestation happens fast for me, that it's always instant for me, that it's not a process? Because by default, I really do believe that manifestation is instant. I believe that if we desire something, that means that it exists for us right now. Like, the possibility does exist for us to have it right now. It is already available to us right now, and it's just waiting for us to claim it. I think that why it doesn't show up instantly for people is obviously because they contradict it. They don't understand that they cannot contradict having what they want, because it's already available to you. If you already had it, why would you bother contradicting it? You wouldn't. People go back and forth with themselves, and they are implying that they don't have it when they do that, and that is exactly why it it doesn't happen instantly for them. And also there are people who don't think it can happen instantly. They don't think that they have the belief, the societal assumption that good things take time, or things have to take time. It's mandatory for things to take time, so why would they experience manifestation instantly? And that is just a societal assumption that you don't have to claim, that you probably grew up with, and you probably were told this is the way. But now that you are aware that you create your own assumptions and you choose what assumptions align with you and what doesn't, and you can choose to unsubscribe to any assumption at literally any time. You don't have to subscribe to waiting. You don't have to subscribe to, oh, things take time. No. If you are in control, if it's law of assumption, and if it runs on your assumptions, you don't have to assume that you have to wait. You don't have to assume things take time. You can absolutely claim your true nature and assume that you always manifest instantly, and it's not a process. Why should you have to treat it like a process? So that was my eye-opener, and I kind of just started telling myself, okay, well, it's law of assumption, my assumptions create, so manifestation is always instant for me. It's not a process. It's always instant. The very moment I say it's done, it's done. Like, literally telling myself that it's instant. And for everyone, instant means something different. So obviously, you know what instant implies to you. For some people, instantly implies a day. For some people, instantly implies a second. For some people, it implies hours, minutes. For some people, they're fine with manifesting instantly, meaning 3 days. Manifestation, that's the beautiful thing about it, is it is totally subjective. It is totally individual, and it is totally up to you to assign meaning to things. Because since it is your reality and it is law of assumption, and it's only your assumptions create your world, you are totally entitled to assigning meanings to things. And your meaning might mean this, but this might not mean the same thing to me, or this might not be the same to her. Very, very subjective, because it's your reality with your assumptions, and that is the beautiful thing about it. I told myself that I manifest instantly. It's not a process. Manifestation is always instant. I just really took time to understand all 3 points, because really, since we are gods, since God is within us, or we are creators, or whatever you want to call it, when God said let there be light, there was light. So for me, that was enough proof that manifestation is not a process. It shouldn't be a process, and I don't have to wait for that. Since I understand all 3 of those things, and since I set the assumption for myself that I always manifest instantly and it's not a process, I am able to experience just that. And really understanding those 3 points got me to this point of being able to manifest instantly. Now, how did I understand those 3 points? I absolutely did use repetition to get where I am. I took some time out to understand those 3 points. I just repeating it in my head, like repeating the entire concept in my head until it really clicked for me. Telling myself that this is how law of assumption works. This is how it works. This is how manifestation actually is. And since it's a law of assumption and my world is just a reflection of my assumption, that's what is being reflected back to me. That is now what my experience looks like when I'm manifesting. I can literally just say, okay, it's done, and it's done. I can just decide it's done, and it's done. I could just decide. Like, I decide once, and that's all. Why? Because like I just said, I took time to understand how manifestation works, and I set the rule for me, the assumption for myself that, yeah, of course I manifest instantly. It's not a process. So of course I can just decide once and it's done, because it's not a process. And that's what instantly means to me. If you prefer to just saturate your mind, repeat until it actually happens, then that is also up to you. No way is wrong. This is just how I do things, and I've done both ways, and obviously, like I've said, it worked for me. But I vibe way more with the second way, because it is just a lot simpler for me. It's just like, okay, all I have to do is understand law of assumption and the fact that my assumptions create, and since my assumptions create, I can literally just assume that I manifest instantly, and I manifest instantly. That's really cool. So yeah, that is how I manifest fast and easily. Thank you so much for watching, and bye.